cape not included. Adventures in Dementia Care. Another day pushing 175 pounds of hopes and dreams across an ocean of carpet.
Remind me why we can't use your wheelchair, Dad?
I grunt, already knowing the answer. Optics. Apparently, walkers are sexier than wheelchairs, and having Lewy body dementia means carpeting is a dead zone for Dad. So he shuffles his walker up to the tile's edge, plops down, and waves me over without a backward glance. Efficiency is one of Dad's core values. We both have our jobs. Dad's riding his walker like he's King Tut, feet hovering, winning tickets in hand. Mine, hauling his royal litter to the sports book, 86 miles round trip past the slots, cigarettes, and oxygen tanks. You could argue our roles are equally as brutal, until he slams his feet down without warning, and I dive forward, jamming my wrists. In the Caregiver Olympics, we'd take gold in mixed doubles for hell in a handbasket. Arriving at the sports book, Dad jumps off his walker seat like he's got squirrels in his pants. He wobbles, tips, and I catch him before he hits the ground. What if he falls next time? Caregiving doesn't follow a script, just the full-time job of keeping someone else's world from falling apart, or them from falling down. Truth be told, some days not crying in your car feels like success. By midnight, I'm back in Dad's guest room, spinning like a gas station hot dog, crispy and overcooked. Adrenaline thinks it's cute I quit caffeine. One day I'll write the manual I needed. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Caregiving edition. Forward by Captain Buzzkill. I flip over, blocking the square of streetlight cutting through the blinds, and consider what it must be like for Dad, once fast enough to make the minors, and now reduced to a shuffle. Don't get old, he warns. Beats the alternative, I always answer. But these days, I'm not so sure. Dad's got heavy mileage. The frame's bent, and the steering's off, like my first car. After turning a corner, the back end would catch up to the front end half a block later, he'd laugh. Turns out, the Mustang wasn't the only one beyond repair. Back when we worked together at his Chicago paint shop, Dad's coping mechanism was simple. Miller Lite by day, wine with dinner, and scotch with the game. If it had proof, it had potential. By closing time, the empties sparkled in every corner. The last can from the case wedged between his legs for the drive home. I hate this business, he'd say. If I knew how to do anything else, I'd sell it and start over. Always trying to help, read, fix, I'd share how my healing work helped me. Curing Graves' disease with bugleweed, dream journaling, self-inquiry. He'd shrug and joke, I keep my demons in the closet. Dad might have despised his business, but he loved the perks. The penthouse, the Jaguar, the Rolex. And while he chased status, I was busy dissecting old wounds and collecting new ones. Neither of us was really winning. Still, I wondered, what kind of a closet could possibly hold a demon? Maybe it'd be easier to cobble together a guardian angel out of goose feathers and rabbit fur. But personal demons seem quaint now, compared to Lewy body's brand of cruelty, forcing people to watch as their own minds decay. Unlike Alzheimer's steady decline, Lewy body doesn't follow a straight path. Dad's lucid one day and lost the next. Some days he questions the diagnosis entirely. I'm fine, he'll say after a good stretch. Maybe the doctors were wrong. But I've seen the scans. Even Dad says his brain looked like Swiss cheese. And I lose sleep knowing that eventually his care will be beyond me, because once that happens, he'll be sedated behind locked doors that he'll never stop trying to open. I visited him once before the diagnosis when he landed in what he called the loony bin. He kept telling me,
I shouldn't be here. I'm a genius.
Apparently, he'd spiraled after taking an online test that convinced him he was smarter than Einstein. He was furious that no one had recognized his genius potential when he was a kid.
You've got to get me out of here,
he whispered, eyes wide.
An inmate tried to kill me in my sleep,
he said, pointing to the bruise on his papery forearm as proof. My heart collapsed under the weight of helplessness, listening to what I suspected and now know were hallucinations. That's why going into a memory care facility is Dad's biggest fear, which means he won't even discuss it, just says, I'll be dead before then. I never know if that's a prayer or a promise. I'm not sure he does either. So the memory care brochure stays buried in my giant purse, right next to Dad's buffet coupons and my disaster relief fund, chocolate. Dad always found a way to spin wreckage into gold, like when his paint shop burned down and he finagled more insurance money by hiring his own adjuster, or how he caddied his way through private school when his parents refused to pay. He could bend reality, always, until now. Dad asked me for help, but what he actually wanted was a proxy, someone who would do it his way. But that kind of help would require surrender. And to him, surrender was for losers. My mission was impossible, but my enthusiasm, immediate. Helping the underdog is my superpower. Dad always joked I brought home the strays. Guess that finally paid off. But that instinct didn't come out of nowhere. I learned early that connection had to be earned, and still came second to the beer, ball games, and big money schemes. I was 8, showing him my new dance moves. When he didn't notice, I stood in front of the TV. That got his attention all right. What the hell's wrong with you? Get out of the way! So I did. Message received. After that, I stayed on alert, proving my worth in small ways, hoping usefulness might someday turn into being cherished, like the daughter in a Hallmark movie, waiting for the gruff dad to pull her in before the credits roll. But my dad? He'd be happier starring in The Godfather. No please, no thank you, just dramatic exits and conversations that end with,
Don't worry about it.
When I'm managing his care remotely from Oregon, I get 20 calls a day. 19 of them about money. Dad won for years gambling and says nothing's changed. But he's the one who taught me numbers don't lie. Last week, he demanded $2,000 so he could earn money gambling for his top priority, dating. Dad, it doesn't make sense. If I keep supplying the cash, how are you earning anything? I pointed out. He unloaded on me about being such a cheapskate. This from the guy who brings coupons on a date. He even said stinginess must run in the family. Just not his side. The Jewish side, apparently. But honestly, I'm flattered. Imagine my ancestors running the budget from beyond the grave. Now that's impressive financial planning. I wish I could say I hadn't cried when we hung up, and that I'd held firm, didn't enable his losing streak again. But the truth is, I just wanted him to be happy with me. Along with the check was a letter saying this would be the last time. It wasn't. In Dad's world, everything was a performance and needed a scorecard. Playoff stats, big screen TVs, people, nothing escaped it. And he wasn't shy about announcing the numbers. 8 years ago in Dad's dream house with the million-dollar view of the Strip, Sparrow met him for the first time to talk about marrying me, while I listened from the other room. Dad tells Sparrow he's lucky because I'm a 7, and 7s try harder. They're a lot easier than 10s, he adds, like he's doing Sparrow a favor. Dry-mouthed, I flop onto the bed. I hear Sparrow laugh it off. She'll always be a 10 to me. Then he tells Dad I'm the full package. A 10? Dad says, incredulous. Okay, maybe she's an 8. Good for you for saying that, he laughs. I'm just saying, not having a 10 could be a good thing. Less trouble. Like I was a rescue. Housebroken, eager to please, and unlikely to bolt. I check my reflection. I look pretty good for my age. Did I misunderstand him somehow? Damn it. Now I'm gaslighting myself. I'm grateful for Sparrow's defense. But after all these years, what's more humiliating than Dad trying to protect Sparrow from me is that now Sparrow needs to protect me from Dad. That memory still makes me want to run off into the desert without a hat and slowly evaporate. Instead, it's 1 a.m., and I'm alone in this guest room, no backup and no energy left for old wounds that should be healed by now. I flip onto my back, remembering last week's call from Oregon. Good afternoon, he says breezily. Just wanted you to know Lonnie and I are moving to Manila since you think I'll run out of money before I croak. I call the caregiver. She nervously apologizes, says she's never going back to the Philippines. Lonnie's a great caregiver and adores Dad, but between the cover-ups and the language barrier, I'm never quite sure what's real. I warn him! Manila crazy! His blue eyes! They take him! Send picture of finger, arm, head! They get the money! She says, rapid fire. Dad's voice booms from the background. Lonnie, give me the phone! Poor Lonnie's off script. She'll regret it later. Nobody's losing any body parts, he barks. What the hell's wrong with you guys? Then triumphantly, I've got a plan. I'll live on the top floor of a skyscraper so they can't get to me. Solid plan, because kidnappers are terrified of elevators. In between the schemes and financial battles, we occasionally get to reset on a call. Dad telling me a joke or reviewing a movie. For a moment, I'm his little girl again. Popcorn, Disney classics, a world where good wins, villains are obvious, and monsters get defeated. Sometimes I open with, "Good evening," Hitchcock style. He echoes it back, chuckling. God, I love those calls. 2 a.m. I flip over, tears blurring the streetlight square into an oval. Dad starts coughing, and I jump. Lonnie will be here in 4 hours. Why is he still up? I'm going in. His head's poking out above the tan comforter, glasses askew, lenses scratched like they've been used to scrub pots. I don't need to buy glasses, he would say. They've got piles of them in the lost and found. It falls under what Dad calls the gray area. He's not stealing. He's collecting what the universe clearly meant for him. He barely moves, just one crooked finger flicking upward. The glow from his phone lights his face. He zeroed in on something, and suddenly, the room feels smaller. Hey, Dad, are you okay? Why are you still awake? Lonnie will be here at 6. Ah! he shouts, jerking up. "You scared the bejesus out of me. What are you doing here?" "Sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to scare you. Just checking to see if you needed anything." "No, I'm fine. Go back to bed," he mutters. I start to leave, but he changes his mind. "Wait, come here. I want to show you something." I drop onto the walker parked by his bed, wrists draped over the handlebars. Suddenly, I'm Peter Fonda, an easy rider, minus the open road. "You ready for this?" he asks, eyes shining. Dennis Hopper, minus the bike. "Here you go," he says, handing me the phone. Blink, blink. Long blonde hair. Cat eyeliner. White t-shirt with black bra showing through. Tiny shorts. Ankle socks. No shoes. Someone's not making soccer practice. He swipes left. T-shirt's gone. Just the black bra now. One strap falling. I wince. Who's that? Why are you showing me this? And where's the mental delete button when you need it? That, he says proudly, is my future wife, Sherry. Everything slows down. His voice echoing in my brain like he's underwater. My future wife. Dad grins. "What do you think? Wow, right? Guess your old man still got it, huh?" Wow is right. You've definitely got something. "Dad, she looks like she's still in high school." My stomach tightening. "This can't be real." "What are you talking about? Of course she's real. She's coming here next week," he fires back. My pulse spikes. "Wait, what? She has your address?" "No. She lives in Montana," he says. "She just needs travel money." Of course she does. "And get this, she offered to take a bus to save me money. She's really down to earth." He grins. Nothing but gums. Meanwhile, he's lost in space, floating in flannel and charting his own course. "Dad, just tell me how you know she's real." "You think she's a robot? It's not my first day." I press on. "Fine. Please tell me you didn't give her your credit card." "No, I didn't give her my credit card," he says, mocking my tone. My breath slows, but my mind races. What now? I need to protect him without triggering a showdown. Panicked, I feel the tears start, then will them away. "Not yet," he adds defiantly. Classic Columbo move. Only Columbo usually catches the criminal, not falls in love with her. "Sherry says she'll take care of me. I know it's been hard on you, dealing with all this from Oregon. I'll have a girlfriend and a built-in caregiver." The stuff of dreams. "You can go live your life with Sparrow and be happy," he chirps. "What's not to love? Everybody wins." I chew my lip until I taste iron. He's covered every objection and sweetened the pot. Sales 101. "Don't leave until you seal the deal," he always said. I check my watch. 3 a.m. I crack my neck. "I'm sorry, Dad. I know you don't want to hear this," I say quickly before he shuts me down. "But Sherry's probably some guy named Frank, texting from his mom's basement in his tidy whities. How can you know for sure it isn't a scam to get guys to hand over their Social Security checks?" His face flushes. He sits up, lips tight, arms crossed. Now I've done it. His body language reads, "Defense mode activated." He thought the deal was sealed. Instead, I basically just called him a sucker. I take a deep breath, bracing for impact. Dad leans forward and pinches the air in crooked finger quotes. His hands more lobster claws than bunny ears. "Okay, since you're so smart, He jabs a finger at me, tension rising. Try explaining how Frank could send me those pictures. His voice cracks. You can't! Know why? Because how could he get them from her? You got me, Dad. I'm so naive. I think you're just jealous. It doesn't matter. Go back to bed. He waves me off. Wait, jealous? Dad, I say, worried now about the bizarre accusation. Dad, what? He snaps, more disappointed than angry. I know he's lonely. It's heartbreaking. But I'm tired. Tired of the delusion. Tired of the cortisol cocktails. Besides, it's 1,000,000 o'clock, and I should be sleeping. I want to yell, so what's next? Prom? Do you need a tux? Instead, I take a calming breath and try again. Dad, why would a barely legal girl want to take care of an octogenarian instead of dating someone her own age? Do you seriously believe what you're saying? Then it hits me. Of course he believes it. Aside from his stint in the psych ward, there were other times we had to navigate the screwy Louie sideshow. Warped mirrors, tilted floors, and his brain spinning lies he couldn't escape. He once confided he'd seen a spider as big as a piñata hanging from the ceiling. His voice shook, and his eyes squeezed shut. It looked so real. It stayed there for hours. I knew it cost him to admit it, but all I said was, I'm so sorry, Dad. I felt useless. I wanted to protect him, but I had only learned how to endure. Most days he's still the same guy who taught me to drive and make perfect popcorn, which is what makes this so hard to accept. Relatives like my brother who are too busy to visit never see the dementia. Dad asks for my help, then tells them I'm the problem. Classic Dad. Play both sides, stack the odds, and always land on top. But now the top's the bottom, with Louie stacking the deck. All we have now is constant upheaval. Every week brings a new crisis, each one worse than the last. The cardinal sin of Lewy body dementia. Last month, I caught him giving his Social Security number to a bank rep. The month before, he started paying a caregiver $2,000 a week to scour garage sales and thrift stores, flipping old china for big profit. I asked if she wanted to return to caregiving. She didn't. He liked her, but I had to fire her. He needed care, not gravy boats. He called me ruthless every day for a week. It was rough. But coming from him, being ruthless was basically a compliment. So when family asks me to release his life savings and just let him live his life, my answer never wavers. No can do. Because when he's broke, sunburnt, and muttering about the piñata-sized spider again, no one's calling Ghostbusters. They're calling me, the one who always puts his needs above her own and who puts her job and husband on hold. How can I wrench him out of Louie's grip? I inhale hard, blinking fast. Okay, Dad, maybe this girl is real, but you've got to admit she's a little young. He cuts me off. You just don't want me being with someone younger than you. Well, ew, of course not. Why would I squeak. Because, he clears, I don't want someone old like me. Or you, for that matter. No offense. Oh, yeah, Dad? What's your target age these days? He rubs his forehead. I don't know. 35? 40? All I know is she's got to be a 10. I have money. I deserve a 10. I roll my eyes. Maybe you can order one from a catalog. I didn't even know catfishing was a thing yet. But I knew a con when I saw one. I learned from the best. He rips off his glasses and flings them onto the bed. Oh no, not the "I wear as punctuation" move.
Look, you can believe whatever you want. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. He sighs. But I'm marrying Sherry, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I want you to be happy. It's just that this is insane, I finish silently.
Just what?
He shoots back.
I know her. We've been chatting every day for a week.
A whole week. Practically an eternity in dad years.
She thinks I'm hilarious,
He lisps.
Is she a little young? Yeah, who cares? What about Bogart? Lauren Bacall was 20 when he was 45.
Of course, Dad. 80's the new 40, and you're the Bogart of Vegas. He leans back, eyes gleaming.
It's just like sales. Get 'em laughing in the first minute, and it's in the bag. Women are no different. Does she want me for my money? Maybe.
My eyebrows shoot up, hopeful he's coming around. Maybe, he repeats, mocking the word I use to dodge his demands. Then he shrugs.
So what? All women want guys with money, just like all men want sex. That's how the world works. You should know that by now.
He shakes his head, puts on his glasses, and points to Sherry's headshot.
And tens? You better believe tens care about money.
Well then, Dad, guess that makes Frank a 10. I'd love to attribute this TED Talk on outdated relationship models to the dementia, but this one? Vintage Dad. Good old-fashioned misogyny aside, he's just a lonely guy in flannel pajamas, teeth in a jar, hoping for one last shot at being a baller. How do you help a man who thinks control is survival and anything else is surrender? Who can protect someone who's always made his own rules? Superman had it easy. A cape, a plan, and people who wanted his help. Dad just wanted a hottie who'd laugh at his jokes. Totally understandable. How about this, Dad? Have Sherry send you a new photo. Something you haven't seen. Should be easy, if she's not a Frank. He scoffs. Frank. Okay, Dad, I'm going to bed. Just promise you won't give her your credit card. He shakes his head. No promises. Maybe, he chuckles. Good night, Dad. Love you. Okay, see you in the morning, he mutters, head down. Scroll. As I pass the doorway, I glance back. It's his life, his money. He swears he won't outlive it. But at this rate, his freedom is costing both of us more than we can afford. Assisted living would be cheaper and less stressful, but it's more bingo and blue hair than ankle socks and eyeliner. So yeah, total deal breaker. 4 a.m. I collapse onto my bed and type woman, photo, money, scam into my phone. Heart pounding, I find a reverse image search engine and the entire phenomenon of catfishing. Same photos all over the internet with different names. Sherry wasn't just a fake. Sherry was a Frank. Well, at least he'll always have Paris. 5 a.m. I begin damage control. Step 1, swap the credit card for a debit with a spending cap. Step 1 complete. My watch says 5:45. 15 minutes until Lonnie shows up. Time for step 2. Reality programming. Puffy-eyed and shoulders aching, I open the curtains and tell him what I did all night, how I found dozens of the same photos of Sherry. "So what?" he says flatly. "That doesn't prove anything." But I see him processing, even while saving face. "Okay, so did she send you another photo?" I ask. "No," he says dramatically. "She probably got spooked. Who wants their integrity questioned? Anyway, thanks a lot. You probably just cost me the love of my life." "Captain Buzzkill, reporting for duty, sir." We weren't Hallmark material. Dad wasn't heading for a teary resolution, and I wasn't flying off into the sunset, cape billowing behind me. So what was I still doing here? I'd be happier at home, being the hero of my own story. Let someone else save or ruin the day for once. 6 a.m. Lonnie arrives and hears from Dad how he outsmarted Frank, the scammer. He's padding his score, just enough to stay in control. I smile and let it ride. Dad needed his scorecard. It was never about me. I thought caregiving might finally earn his approval. But I get it now. He couldn't give what he didn't have. Somewhere in the chaos and the grind, something shifted. My scorecard belongs with me. That flawed character was still my dad, and I was still the battle-worn daughter, flubbing my lines in a supporting role. But maybe just showing up, flawed, tired, and still trying, is the only superpower any of us mere mortals get. And when the cape's not included, that's enough to finish the scene. Though, yes, I still check his phone whenever he sleeps, just in case Sherry has a sister named Brandy, with a better backstory, a Hitchcock collection, and who thinks Dad's a 10.